Hey everyone, welcome to the Middle School Visual Arts PLC group. My name is Alicia Montgomery and I'm the moderator for this group. I'm so glad that you've joined this community. It was really created with you in mind. Our goal is to collaborate and support each other as we navigate this craziness that we call middle school visual arts. Whether you are the only one in your system or one of many, we know you're going to find things here that are going to be helpful for you. In order to make this as beneficial as possible for everyone, be sure to set up your notifications and check back often to see post discussions and support that'll be showcased. And please engage in our discussions and offer up any support or any questions that you may have. Also, share this platform with your friends and colleagues. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how I kind of handle temper cakes in my classroom, and I'm doing this in preparation for the rest of this series that it's going to be working with a mixed media project based on Candy Wiley's artwork and Michaelan Thomas. And so with that, they're going to be painting, and they're also going to be doing some digital graphics work and combining those things together. So this is just kind of how I handle using temper cakes in my classroom. Right, for starters, you're going to need brushes and water buckets. And so the way I handle those in my classroom is I have a color tray like the one you see on the screen that is matches each group that I have. And I have 5 groups in my classroom. I have a paintbrush tray holder like you see and 2 water buckets for each group. I also label those with all the colors, and then I have painted the ends of my paintbrushes the same as the group color, and that just helps me see at the end of class who's not cleaning up, and that holds the students responsible because they know I can tell which group it is, and they know they don't get to leave my classroom till everything's clean and put away. And so at the end of class, at the end of every class, right, after they get through using these materials, they will clean them, put them back on their tray, and put them on the corner of their table like this. And so then I can go through really quickly and just run my hand across the paintbrushes, make sure they're clean. I can glimpse the water buckets, make sure they've been rinsed out, check their tables, make sure everything's been cleaned up. So this is kind of how I handle that. In each paintbrush rack, I have a medium-sized flat brush, and then I have 2 different round brushes. I have a bigger one and a smaller one. And I tell them if they need something bigger or smaller, I've got some of those. I just don't have enough for every group. And I have 6 of each of those in my paintbrush rack because there's not more than 6 people at their table. The next thing that I have is temper cake trays, and they look like this. They have red, violet, brown, black, white, and then they have our primary colors red, blue, and yellow, and then there's also a green. And then there's a paintbrush in the center. We talk about how those paintbrushes are for adding water to your temper cake trays only. They are not for painting with because they hold too much water and they'll make your paint look really thin and runny. We also talk about how this is not like watercolor paint. So it's not the more water you add, the lighter it gets, because then it gets really streaky. And so we talk about the consistency that needs to be, making sure that they stir it up well before they use it to paint. Right? All of my temper cakes go in a rack that looks like this one, like these, and then I've labeled them with their group color on the ends as well. And then I also put little pieces of tape on each rack so the students know where to put them. And most of the time they get them in the right place. If they don't, I'll just call them back and say, hey, make sure you get these in the right space. So that way they know I'm going to call them back. They're more likely to make sure they're getting in the right place. In this video, I'm going to show you how to clean your temper cake trays. So if you get one that's messy, or you come in, or you finish and you have some that you've mixed colors in, we need to make sure we clean those before you put them back in the rack. So the way to do that is in each tray, there's a red paintbrush like this one. You're going to take it and you're going to use it to mop up the colors that you have left. So I'm going to get some water from my water bucket, and I'm just going to swirl my paintbrush around on the color. Let that soak for a minute. I'm going to go ahead and go to my next one that needs to be cleaned. I'm going to rinse it off. And you'll notice as I keep going, it starts getting cleaner and cleaner. Same thing for my white one. So I'm going to take my paintbrush and go around and around. Now this one's been used a lot, so the bottom's missing out of it. So as you clean, a lot of that's going to run down in the bottom. So if you need to, you can take a paper towel and blot that bottom part out. Just wipe that till it's all cleaned up. And then it'll be ready for you to put away. Once you've done that, you'll put it back in your tray with the colored tab on your shelf. Then when it's time to clean up, I make sure that each student cleans their tray before they put it back in the rack. So I come around and I check those before I let them go put them up. And then my other 3 jobs, I assign a group member at each table to do that. And it can rotate throughout the group members. So there's always a paintbrush cleaner. So they are going to clean the paintbrushes. I show them how to do that. Just a little bit of soap. And I tell them with that little bit of soap, you can clean multiple paintbrushes. We talk about making sure that you put them back in the paintbrush rack with the bristles facing up. I assign one group member to clean the water buckets for your group, and basically they're just taking those to the sink. They're dumping them in the sink, rinsing them out really good, and putting them back on their trays. And then my third group member cleans the tables. So I have some spray that I get from the custodial staff, and we spray the tables down and just wipe them down with some recycled cloths that my custodian gets for me. And so we clean those really good, make sure we get all the paint off the table, the top of the table, and the edges so that it's nice and clean when it's time for the next group to come in. All right, so thank you for joining me about how I set up for tempera painting with the tempera cakes. So just take a few minutes to participate in our discussion question. I can't wait to hear all your wonderful ideas and share some of my own. Make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss any updates, posts, discussions, or any of the fun. And make sure you check out the next 2 videos in the series where you'll see painting our background for our mixed media Kahinde Wali project with the tempera cakes and the graphics part of that project. Happy teaching!